What piece of advice would you give to somebody considering teaching English in Japan?
Yeah, biggest piece of advice would be...
Yay! Yay, now it's recording. So, hi!
Wait, are we starting right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what's your name?
My name is Aidan.
Hi, Aidan. What do you do?
I am an English teacher.
What inspired you to become an English teacher in Japan?
I'd say the biggest thing was having the chance to share English with people here in Japan and simultaneously learn more about the culture here and Japanese as well.
Can you share some of the challenges you faced when adjusting to life in Japan?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing so far was just trying to figure out where to go for things. You know what you need when you're trying to get settled and moved in, but you don't necessarily know where you need to go. Certainly the language barrier is a factor if you don't fluently speak it and read it. But honestly, after a week or so, it wasn't so bad. So I feel like it wasn't as much as a culture shock as maybe I was expecting it to be.
What advice would you give to someone considering teaching English in Japan?
I guess one of the biggest things is have enough reserve savings to get you by at least the first month or two, especially just because of setting up a bank account that can take about a month, 2 months, and the pay isn't great. You're certainly not going to be saving a lot of money, if any at all. So really, if you have the savings for it, I'd say do it, and if you want to come to Japan for a long time, I think it's a really great opportunity to be able to immerse yourself in the culture and community around you, as opposed to just being here for a week or two as a tourist in the popular metropolitan areas. So yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference between coming here as a tourist and living here?
So this is my first time here, so I've never came here solely as a tourist for a week or two. But at the same time, I know what it's like to be a tourist in other places. So I think the biggest difference is when you come to Japan and you move here to live here and work, the biggest difference, I guess, is you're not in the primary center of Tokyo and surrounding cities so much unless you do work there. But even then, you aren't just waking up every day from your hotel and going around shopping and doing all the tourist attractions. You're actually becoming a productive member of the society here, just as you were maybe wherever you came from originally. I think it's a really great advantage to do that instead of just being a tourist, because I don't think you get the full experience coming to a country like Japan. If you just come here for a week or two, you're still quite alienated from the true experience of being immersed in different communities around Japan. But even so, it's still somewhat true when you move here if you don't speak the language very fluently, and just because you obviously look like a foreigner more often than not, coming from places like Australia, Canada, the United States, you look like a foreigner. So you're always going to be judged and looked at that way. That's not necessarily to say it's going to be looked at as a negative thing, but you're always going to be viewed as the foreigner. So it can be a bit hard, I think, to break that ice or the barriers of entry to get immersed and get familiar and meet new people in Japan that are from here. Yeah, but it's not impossible, and if I had to make the choice again, I would still pick moving here and working here in Japan over just coming here as a tourist and having to go back home. Yeah.
Has anything changed in terms of your perception of Japan after coming here compared to before?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's nothing super specific, but I would say generally social media loves to paint Japan as this utopian society where everything is perfect and wonderful, and there is a lot of great things about Japan that I do love, but equally so, no country or place in the world is perfect and without its problems. So yeah, social media loves to paint it as this awe-inspiring, just completely rid free of any problems, which it's not. And as a tourist coming here, you might get that perception that it is this perfect place because you're not aware of maybe so much about the history and the work culture here. So you're not exposed to that, which is understandable. But I think as long as you are planning to, or you do currently live here or have aspirations to come and work in Japan, and you're aware of the cultural differences and challenges of living and working in Japan, and you're content with that, then I think it's a fine thing to do. Yeah.
What's been the most rewarding experience you've had while teaching English in Japan?
Yeah, so far I think the most rewarding thing has been having the opportunity to sit down with people and just talk and tell them about, you know, where I've come from, my experiences, and vice versa, hearing from them. And you know, I love hearing people tell me about, you know, recommendations of places to eat or places to go, and their curiosity with where I come from, and you know, what's it like where I lived before, and just getting on a real level with people and having a real conversation has been my favorite thing. Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference between where you're from and Japan?
Well, I guess it's got to be the language, because most people here don't speak English. And I mean, it might be different in like Tokyo, because it's a very big tourist place, so a lot of people working here know that, and they probably have to know some English to cater to the foreign population that comes and visits here. But as soon as you step out of the big city areas like Tokyo, you'll find out very fast that most people don't speak English, which is understandably so. So you either have to know Japanese quite fluently to engage in conversations with them, or you have to start learning very quickly. I mean, you can rely on translation apps with your phone, but if you solely just do that, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities and experiences that you could otherwise have had with people through conversation. But yeah, people in the United States, where I'm from, most people do not speak Japanese. It's primarily English, and then Spanish, and maybe French. It's just, I don't think Japanese people get around a lot globally, and if they do, they maybe do an exchange year or work abroad temporarily. But from what I've heard and seen from people I've talked with, people who do that, they end up coming back to Japan because they prefer it here, and it's just a familiarity thing. So
how do you stay motivated and continue to grow as an English educator in a foreign country?
Yeah, I think now being here, the biggest motivating and driving factor for me is that, you know, I've always wanted to come here, and now I'm here. And while I do enjoy teaching English, it's not something that I was previously doing before, nor do I want to do forever. So with that, I have to improve my learning of Japanese more, and I want to, and being here now sort of forces you to, because like I was saying, you can't rely on people just expecting them or hoping that they're gonna know and be able to communicate with you in English. So now being here, it pushes you even harder to try to learn and pick up the language more fluently than you maybe otherwise have known before, if you don't already know it fluently. And once you can do that, it opens up so many more work opportunities for you in Japan once you can speak Japanese fluently. And of course, English helps as well. If you're coming here and you don't speak English, knowing English and Japanese, and obviously having a background and work experience that is ideal for roles is going to be helpful as well. But if you don't fluently know Japanese, you are going to be gridlocked to a certain handful of different jobs or careers in Japan. So if you want to get out of those, then yeah, the biggest driving factor for me is becoming more fluent in Japanese.
What would you like to be doing in the next 5 years?
5 years. Yeah, my background is in finance primarily, so I wouldn't be opposed to going back to that. I also have aspirations to maybe move my career into real estate, but with both of those said, it's tough to do so without having a fluent level of at least speaking Japanese, and sometimes even writing you have to have. So yeah, it's kind of one day at a time thing where you're trying to just pick up and learn the language more in any way you can. But yeah, if those don't happen, you know, something else will. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And the final question, what piece of advice would you give to somebody considering teaching English in Japan?
Yeah, biggest pieces of advice would be don't come to Japan in general, let alone come to Japan to teach English with any high expectations for one. But really, I would just recommend people to not have a lot of expectations for things in general, because it's a quick way to set yourself up for being disappointed very fast. I think if you like and can handle a minimalistic lifestyle, you're passionate about Japanese culture, history, the language, you like the food, then I think it'll be a really cool opportunity for anyone to come here and do, even if it's a temporary thing for just a year and then you go back to your home country. Don't set any high expectations, I would say, and you'll be just fine.
Thank you very much. Where can we follow you on social media?
Yeah, sure. You can follow me on Instagram. My first, middle, last name, Aidan Lee Jennings.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yay, thank you.
Was that fine?
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.